Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games, the Week in Games. It's in the middle of summer, right smack dab in it, and we have had nothing like awesome summer of rain and clouds and drizzle, and only today has the sun risen. But that's okay, it's like God saying, you have too many board games for the weather, let me fix that for you. Yeah. So anyway, I hope everyone else all over the world and wherever you're tuning in from is having a wonderful summer filled with many summer-like activities and the occasional board game. Let's get to the news. Okay, well, top three things this week are, first off, Dice Hospital, a game that came out last year where it's basically Yahtzee in a clinical lab, sort of, but not entirely, where you're trying to save patients through a variety of rooms by adding on to your hospital, etc. I found it quite pleasant, not an earth-shattering epiphanal game, but something certainly interesting enough to be able to introduce to a lot of people and find it enjoyable. The new expansion is actually a breakdown of three different types. There's a city maternity and investments, and there's different things that it adds. Ultimately, I will probably add it because I think anything that adds a little more variety to the game will be good. But if you haven't checked that out on Kickstarter, it's available now for a little while left. But definitely take it up. Take the opportunity to take a look at it if you liked DOS Hospital, Dice Hospital, or not. So with that, next we have an exciting news: Gloomhaven, the top game, one of my favorite games of all time, and a big box of awesome stuff, is now available in early access on Steam. Now there's a couple caveats about it. It's very bare bones. They basically got the core gameplay going, and that was about it. They got sort of stubbed in sort of adventure parts, but they readily admit it's going to be probably until the end of the year before they really get it going. But if you went in early and you want to be able to check it out, I think they've done an excellent job of being able to create sort of an adventure-like world using Gloomhaven mechanics in a way that was much closer to the game, the analog game, than say Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, which when it came out had a few bits. It was sort of inspired by, but not necessarily a translation of Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, which I think I joined a lot of people who wanted the board game equivalent, and they didn't get that. But Gloomhaven looks to be a little different, a little closer, but still with a lot of interesting things that surprised me. Yet again, probably wait till the end of the year if you want a polished version, but if you want to get it on the ground floor or the sub-ground floor, now's a good time. And finally, GMT Games, we have now shipping or charging notices in preparation for the next game called Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea. This is a game for 1 to 6 players. It's by Mark Simonech, who's just a prolific game designer who says himself that in all the years he's worked on games, this is the most excited he's been. So I don't know about you, but his excitement has become my excitement, and I'm looking forward to see that shipped out in the next couple weeks. So if you want the early P500 price, definitely pick it up now before it ships out, and you'll save yourself some dime. All right, let's get to question of the week. All right, the question of the week that I got was, you have a lot of games. You must be really good at these games. I guess that's kind of a question, which comes down to, do I win all the games that I get? And the answer is no. No. It's funny how when you see someone with a lot of interest in something that you sort of assume a level of expertise that goes along with it, there's probably a correlation there, but not in this household. No, just because I have games as a hobby does not mean I have games as a proficiency or mastery. In fact, I would almost argue that the more games I have, the less depth of skill I have in any one game. To be honest with you, there are collectors, and then there are ones that just drink deeply from the strategy. I've always been in awe of people that are able to take a game and really just dissect, invest, figure it out, like, pull it apart. Look, just those divers inners type of gamers that can really get a game. I'm more of a dabbler, always will be. Enjoy games, but never really get too deeply into any given game because of the breadth of games I continually buy. In some ways, like, for example, basketball. I love basketball. I play 3-4 times a week. I get injured at least once a week, and yet I still play 3-4 times a week. I love basketball. Am I good at it? Not really. but I still like it, so I still love it. It's just the way it is. So to answer the question in the most succinct way possible, no, I do not win all the games I buy. Um, wow, I don't even know if I'd come close to saying that. So with that, let's get to our 3 games. All right, a game I've had in the hopper for almost a year now, Robin Hood and the Merry Men. That's right, Robin Hood and the Merry Men is a game. It's well, it can be semi-cooperative, or it can be cooperative, or it can be solo. It's got a lot of moving pieces. It's really thematic. There's a lot of all your favorite characters from Robin Hood are represented in this game. How well it plays, I believe there might even be a review coming on the horizon to explain what I think about it, so I don't want to spoil it. Next is Proving Grounds. I don't know if I remember I've done this before, but Proving Grounds I picked up on a whim directly from the distributor. That's new. Usually I go through online purchasing or local purchasing, but Proving Grounds is a real-time battle game. What's keeping me from getting anywhere for this is that they shipped it with wrong cards that made it extremely difficult. And so I've been waiting about a month now for the replacement cards. I'm hoping they arrive soon because I'd really like to get this to the table and even review it because it looks really cool. But I do want what they intended to provide, not what they ended up providing. So hopefully they'll resolve that soon and I can give you more information on it. And finally, the game of games, the game I've been waiting for years, Skull Tales Full Sail. This is a Kickstarter I got that comes complete with an expansion box that isn't even shown here. This is an adventuring, almost Gloomhaven-ish style game, adventure pirating. You're adventuring on land, you're sailing the seas, you're upgrading your captains, your ship, your crew, everything. Haven't even begun to delve into it. Not the easiest rule set to look up, and very little support on BGG or other places from the designers as far as getting answers to questions, although a lot of the community has put together a decent FAQ. I've looked forward to this for a long time, so I'm willing to wade through a whole lot to get it to work, but if you see this in the wild and you don't mind having some question answering period before diving in, I'm looking forward to it. So with that, let's get to my next segment. All right. I have for a while been doing games alphabetically and giving you an example. And a friend of mine pointed out that is really like a no-win game because I'm literally going to be dead by the time I got through all of my games that I have. And he suggested instead that I do something where I just sort of combine something in the confines of a letter. For example, A, B, C, D, we've all seen Sesame Street. And I thought, you know what, fine. So I'm changing this last segment, from reviewing a game, the Is Tim Full of It, where I go back and look at how I reviewed games in the past, and just saying, you know what, I'm going to do alphabet soup. And we're going to start with the letter A, and I'm going to go through all the significant games in my collection that start with the letter A that match a different category. We'll try it out. If it sucks and people start throwing tomatoes at me in the comments, we'll switch it back. But for now, we'll talk about the letter A. So, in the games of A, the top of the line game, the game I love the most, that starts with the letter A, is Archipelago from Christian Bollinger. Now, he hasn't impressed me lately with the fiasco of Dog's Tale, where the game never shipped, and it turns out the Kickstarter was basically a corrupt piece of crap, and the guy took the money, and one of the guys took the money and ran. Not the designer particularly, but whoever funded it. But that doesn't take away the fact that Archipelago is probably one of the deepest, probably the best semi-cooperative game, which I think is really hard to pull off. It's got just vast systems of figuring out like this. You just have to read up on it to check out. But Archipelago gets the highest rating of any A game I own. Bottom of the barrel is Ascension. Now, because I ragged on it last time, I'm not going to bother with it. You just understand Ascension is not my favorite game by about an order of 20. We'll move on. The games that came out of nowhere. This is a game that I thought was going to be mediocre that it ended up being relatively awesome. Australia definitely is a game that came out of nowhere and surprised the snot out of me. Martin Wallace game. Akrotiri is a game that comes in a box basically about the size of a mini pan pizza, but it explodes into this crazy interesting game. Almost a puzzle game, but those two are definitely the came out of nowhere game. Riches to Rags. In this category is Android Infiltration by it was from the designer of Dominion, Donald X. Vaccarino, and I was highly expecting greatness from it, and it was a complete dud. I tried to sell it twice, and both times no one wanted it. Still don't think it's a terrible game, but it was definitely one that just, yeah, it was the downslope of the roller coaster. Next is the Meaty Mighty Manwich game, the game that's just packed with amazing amounts of detail or complexity. That has to go to Anachrony for me. Anachrony is a game that's really great. Takes a lot to, there's a lot going on. It's a lot. The time travel aspect is crazy cool. Just crazy. So that's definitely the meatiest of the game. The Test of Time game is the game that I played the most. Even if I don't rate it the highest, it's the one that I spent the most time with, and that has to go to Arena Roma 2. A small box game sort of like Battle Line, where you are battling back and forth against another opponent. It's a two-player game, and you're laying cards and you're using them to attack or to build up victory points. Just for some reason, it just hits just right. It's just right. Comeback Tour. What game do I want most to be reprinted or reimagined? Has to be Ascending Empires, one of the first space flicking games where you are in space and you are flicking ships to get to places, to attack other ships, to mine, to do all that. The game had warped boards, which I think didn't do it very good justice. It was very difficult, but beyond that, I have not seen anything since that was as cool as it was, despite other games being out there. This was the coolest. And finally, an honorable mention has to go to Android Netrunner. That game just goes on and on. It's the craziest asymmetrical balanced game that works, and other than the toxic community that developed over the years, unfortunately, it is still definitely worth mentioning. So that's it. That's what we got. Let me know what you think of this latest Alphabet Soup segment. And otherwise, we will be having some more reviews coming up later this week and a couple next week. And I hope that you guys have a great summer week. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.